Howdy folks, welcome back. It's cold where I am, so I busted out this snuggly jumper, which is nice. But anyway, we're not here for that. Forgive me, 2 in a row, but I got a Scrawlrbox in the post today. And I'm excited because it's actually April's box, so I'm on time, guys. Woo! So forgive the double posting, but ooh, that's pretty. So the artist print for this month is by Angelika Schult. I hope I'm saying that right, from Germany. And if you wanted to check her out online, there you can. It gives me Sailor Moon vibes. And inside the tissue paper is where we find our art supplies. Come on, let me in. Yeah, there we go. I always try and open it neatly. I don't know why. Ta-da. So I've got not 1, not 2, but 3 Scrawlrbox stickers this month. I don't know if that's a fault, but I'll take them. The menu. Faber-Castell chunky watercolour pencils. Ooh, these look fun. Another chunky pencil. This is a Derwent sketching pencil in HB. Some chunky Faber-Castell markers. Everything's a bit chunky. They're water-based markers. Everything's water-based. With a brush nib on one end. And bullet the other. A paintbrush by Pro Art. Number 6 round brush. I like a round brush. I'm not a paintbrush snob, but I like it. Feels nice. A sweet. And this is new. A Scrawlrzine. That lists the art supplies again. A little bit about the artist. Some tips. And a gallery of last month's entries. That's cool. Oh, and an update as well. I really like that. That's a neat addition. Nice. And a thick watercolour paper pad, 300 GSM, 8 sheets. Oh, and it's by Scrawlrbox. And the challenge this month is Daydreamer. Okay. So, we've got some water-based supplies, water-based pad. I like that. Let's go for it. Woo. Right, so I did some swatching off camera, and I really like these pencils. I've never used a watercolour pencil that has dissolved so easily before, and what I mean by that is, like, normally you can kind of see the pencil marks behind, but these are really good. Get a thumbs up from me. I really like how the brown and the red interact together, and I tried the pens and tried to get a nice green between those. I also thumbnailed an idea of sketching my Tiefling cleric that I've been playing for the past 4 years or so let's make her a bit bigger. So off we go sketching. And the prompt Daydreamer kind of fits my little Tiefling cleric because she was a bit of a recluse before the adventure and so hadn't seen much of the outside world, and tended to get carried away with things. And she's been on my mind a bit lately because we finished the campaign a couple of weekends ago and I kind of miss her. There wasn't a rubber that came with this kit, so I used one from a previous kit, so I don't know, does that mean I failed the challenge? What do you think? I must confess, she had been on my mind a bit and I had already started sketching her up in my sketch pad because I was trying to finalise her outfit design, but here she is. And so an excuse to draw her again was quite nice as well. I was looking at it for the longest time and thinking, it doesn't look like Lil. What have I done differently? And then I realised I'd forgotten her horns. Like, whoops. So here we go. Yes, her name is Lilith. I don't know if I mentioned that. Nice and original. Yeah. I think it was actually our DM that suggested the name for me because I was struggling to name her. And I decided to put a rose in her hair because roses are my favourite flower. and I had red pencil crayons, so why not? So I didn't want to do too overwhelming of a skin tone, so I actually just put the coloured pencil in the areas where the shadow would be and kind of pulled the pigment out with the watercolour brush later on. It kind of worked, but I think in the end she is a lot paler than she should be, but she's kind of, I haven't finalised, like I say, her skin tone or anything, but I think when I've doodled it in the past, she's kind of been a bit more of a rich browny red than straight up red, but this is a nice looking illustration in the end. At least I think so. After leaving those lips to dry, they were a bit blotchy, so I went in with the brown pencil crayon and kind of gave them a bit more definition and spiked them up a bit at the top. I also used the brown to shade the rose to give it a little bit more depth. Like I say, I'd already tried that in the thumbnail sketch. And then it was time to add some more water. It's amazing how much brighter the watercolour pencils get when you hit them with water as well. One of the things I like to do with water-soluble supplies like this, because I've used the Karen brush markers before, as well as some watercolour pencils before, but never any that worked this well, is actually kind of use what I've used on the paper as a palette almost. So you might notice me a couple of times kind of switching from colouring a darker area and then pulling that pigment somewhere else to use it as a shadow somewhere else. Works quite well. This was the leap of faith because I wanted her outfit to be purple, and I was like, well, okay, I've got a red crayon and a blue felt tip, so in theory this should work. I just went for it and with my fingers crossed I got the watercolour on top, and it worked quite well. It comes up kind of brown on camera, but it is more of a purple in real life, so I'm pleased with that. And again, you'll see me pull this purple now into the shadows to kind of cool down some of those hot pinks that have ended up on the face. A little tip there. You might have noticed I'm trying to talk a bit less in this video. Some of the feedback I've got from people is that sometimes they just want to sit back and watch the artwork, so hopefully that's enjoyable for you. If you'd rather me ramble over the top, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to continue rambling. One of the things I quite liked about working with watercolour pencil instead of just straight up watercolours is you can get some interesting textures left behind, but because these dissolved so well, I ended up going back and putting the texture of the horns back in. Just a simple kind of back and forth scribble, but I think it just added something and I'm glad I was able to do that. Something else I wanted to try was scribbling the pens on the palette and adding water to that because I wanted a really pale blue to shade her hair. She has white hair, so it's quite tricky to shade. I put a little bit of red pencil down already, so when I put the then very watered down blue on, it kind of came up with a greyish purple, which was exactly what I wanted, so I was really pleased with that. I still struggle with the concept of not putting line art down first, but I think it looked okay this time around. It's literally the only place I used the green was on those rose petals. And then I watered down the yellow in the same way I did the blue to give like this kind of gradient background of just a yellow to blue wash. I wanted to keep it dreamy because the prompt was daydreamer and looks like she's kind of lost in thought, so yeah, quite liked it. And then I carried on that blue wash a little bit darker underneath just for her kind of cloak or robes, I suppose. And then I deliberately added this in quite quickly because I wanted it to kind of pull out. You can kind of watch it bleed out there as it's happening. And then I sharpened the brown pencil to quite a point to use as line art because you know me, I can't not have line art. And I've only used coloured pencil as line art like once or twice in the past. And I do really like it. It's just, I find it awkward going into paint over a sketch because like I say, I normally sketch messily. But yeah, this was quite nice in the end, although I did have to sharpen it a couple of times because obviously being a watercolour pencil, its lead's even softer than usual. I must admit, I do find line art so satisfying to watch. And adding it to her hair just really brought it back for me. And then it was time to sign my name. And with that we were done. So here is the final finished illustration of my Lilith. Just move that out of the way. And I'm really pleased with how this looks. It's got a kind of washed out, chilled out feel to it, which I really like. Again, the skin tone is not quite right for her. She's a bit too pale, but I still really like the illustration as a whole. I think it's come out really nice. So yeah, these illustrations get a thumbs up from me. And speaking of thumbs up, if you enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up and a comment down below. What would you have done with the prompt daydreamer? Oh, my Lil. And if you want to stick around and subscribe, I will love you forever. And don't forget to ring the notification bell if you do. And with that, guys, that's it from me this week. Stay safe, and I will see you next time. Bye!